Hello, welcome to my channel. My name's Melissa Newman of Rising Strong Holistic Healing. Thank you for being here. So today's topic is a continuance from my previous video. It was titled Break Free from Trauma Energetic Imprints that can be connected to the mother and father wounding patterns of behavior. So it was a pretty in-depth video that I did. It spoke to past lives a little bit, which I want to talk a bit more about what our connection might be to our past lives. Are we connected to as in a karmic inheritance? Are we connected, and how are we connected to ancestral healing potentially for this lifetime? Collective paradigms, core conscious learnings or life lessons, and soul contracts. So it had a lot, and Akash records actually. So it had a lot of information that sort of actually really does explain what our journey is here on this earth now. But the reason why I brought that forward was in my work, I was noticing shared patterns of behavior being played out either from a male's perspective or a female's perspective, but in relation to mother and father wounding. And so why? My question was, when I was noticing this, why is this playing out for humanity as like a shared experience? Now, there's many reasons for that. And so that video was communicating to that. So if you haven't watched that, it might be a good one to watch and then sort of follow on with these lessons. But I guess it's just going to help you understand and bring it all together, because some of this might not make sense. So a key part of that video was understanding what our core conscious learnings are, because I don't feel if we don't know what that is, what we're actually striving to master in this lifetime through specific life lessons that we agreed to with our soul contracts, then we might not be able to, we might feel that we're on a continual looping, like we just feel like we just keep experiencing the same experiences, and they're generally traumatic experiences, and not knowing how to really shift them. So check that video out. But the core conscious learnings, I'll just tap into those. I gave 5 steps that were vital, I felt, being able for you to shift and heal this trauma that's been playing out for many of us in this lifetime. So the core conscious learnings, or the teachings, as in the 5 steps that was going to help you, was 1, finding the common denominator, as in the core lesson that you were to master in this lifetime, because that is actually connected to all of your experiences and why you're having your experiences. That's super important to understand. That was step 1. I spoke and mentioned what I felt my core conscious learnings were. And when I understood this, it felt like a game changer for me. And that was centered around my core conscious learnings. Something that I believe was written into my soul contract was to understand and master respect, truth, and trust in this lifetime. But that played out with the father wounding. And so that's what that video is about. So that's number 1. You need to understand what that is for you, because I believe that's what sends us on a looping, trying to discover what it is that we're meant to be learning from all of our traumatic experiences. And once you've mastered or understood that, become aware of that, then it's important for you to understand that in the experiences that your core lessons are showing and bringing to you, presenting to you, you also, it's important to understand what paradigms are playing out with those experiences, with your core lessons, because some of them will be individual and collective, and there's a lot of collective paradigms. So I will rehash because to help this video make a little bit more sense to you, but it's good to understand what a paradigm is. So I'll explain that now and rehash. So paradigms is literally a collective consciousness, as in a belief that we all hold as true, but it's a collective consciousness as in a way for us humans to gain information. And we gain information through our experience or experience through our emotions, our thoughts, our beliefs, and our behaviors. So another part to that for you to understand that's important is we as humans, this is tapping into my previous video, we as humans, our human structure is designed so that our ego self guides us as our navigational tool, is there as a protection mechanism that whenever a thought, an emotion, or a behavior comes up and is presented to us, our ego as a safety net, keeping us safe, our consciousness is to look at those experiences, and we're meant to identify what this means for us as a human in this human body, and how through those experiences, thoughts, and emotions, it's about learning what is true for you. It's like a navigational tool that will lead you back to your soul self, your higher self. And so in each of those moments, it's really important to understand what the paradigms are playing out. What is true for you? So that's kind of the second step. We move on. Once you can identify these two things, step one, step two, you're in a moment then of choice point. And what then are you going to choose as your reality to unfold from those experiences? Where are you going to go? Are you going to believe that maybe poverty consciousness is your truth? And if so, then that's the reality you create for yourself. Or are you going to choose abundance? And this is just very simple explanation. And then if so, you will actually move down that path and create a reality around that. And it's constantly ever changing based on these choice points in and from these experiences in each moment. And then once you can do that, then you can then step into the fourth step, which is letting go. You will let go what's not true for you and what is, and you will then be able to move into what is true for you. So the letting go is really important, to let go of any limiting beliefs in any moment. And that's all we're ever meant to do. Everything is to be a letting go of and a clearing in each moment. And then the next step will be then you anchor what your truths are when you fully understand, but you will understand that when you know what your life lessons are, because you will align all of your decisions based on what you're mastering. So that was my teaching yesterday, which I actually think is quite powerful and will really help you on your journey. But the next part to that is understanding the ego and how the ego plays its role, especially where the ego is designed to keep you safe. So go back to the previous video, because that part even alone is super important, because that's actually what you're going to actually be fighting against a lot when you make that choice to shift from low conscious, dense thoughts and limiting beliefs into empowering yourself into a higher consciousness and way of being. You need to understand what role the ego is playing, which has become distorted. So that was all of yesterday. And so your experiences will play to your core conscious learnings. And those experiences are creating your trauma in this lifetime. So I find this one fascinating because many of us believe we're also clearing trauma from past lifetimes. And so this next topic, or this final part of the piece of the puzzle around karma and karmic inheritance, ancestral healing, how is all of this now kind of bringing it all together and sort of like bringing the clarity to your soul purpose and how to navigate this life, basically. So moving on then into today's topic, let's just talk about karma first. Most of us have our understandings of what karma is, but quite simply, it's an energetic balancing of all of our behaviors as human in each and every moment that will create what we have understood as a consequence. And so it is in every moment, whatever we put out, there is a cause and effect for each of our thoughts, words, and behaviors. So this is what I find interesting, though, because I believe many of us have believed or just mostly focused on karma as negative. But in actual fact, karma is, if we go back a step and just look at cause and effect, that whatever we put out in any moment will create a cause and effect, then that doesn't mean only on something negative that we do. Karma is a balancing of everything that we do, every thought, every emotion, every behavior, whether it's positive or negative. And I think we just tend to focus on that karma is only related to negative, but that's not true. Because if I am joyous and love and generous, then that does it not bring back to me the same experiences? So if I'm, like laughter, for example, laughing with people, if you're laughing and having a great time and you're happy, the reflection is that's what you receive. So it's the same, whether it's positive or negative, there's a cause and effect for both. And this is where we always get that choice to always, if we're putting out more positive energy, then that's what our reality will always be. So it's important, I feel, just to sort of remember that it's actually both. But also karma is only ever happening in the now moment. So the reason why I can say that is because then if you look at energy is constantly, is like energy is in motion. When this is where it gets a little bit tricky, and this is where it's important to understand how the frequency part of energy, like the frequency that we're putting out, how this actually works. So let me try to explain. So if karma only ever happens in the now moment, so if I'm putting out joy and happiness now, I'm receiving joy and happiness now. If I'm putting out anything negative, then that's what's coming back to me in the now. But we've had a belief that because we focus on negative, that karma will come back to us at some point. So meaning we're seeing that karma can come back to us in the future. Or we've also believed that karma has come from a past into the now. It can only do so based on our frequency. And this is the part that what I didn't understand. And then that also helps us understand how it can't follow us, yet it can, only based on our frequency. Here's an example. So whatever we are vibrating in through our frequency into the world in this now moment, positive or negative, will come back to us. So if, for example, we're believing that something negative that we do now is going to come back to us in the future, the only way it can do that is via vibrating at the same frequency. So let's look at it this way. Today, say I'm a very negative, angry person, and I'm putting out all of this energy, and even in my moving throughout my day today, I'm experiencing that coming back to me through other people. I woke up angry, I'm on the roads, I'm experiencing angry drivers on the road. I go into the shop, you just get frustrated because you see all the anger around you. That's because your frequency is vibrating at that, and that's what you're putting your signal out to receive. How does this come then into the future if it's supposed to? Well, it can, based on that same frequency. So here I am. I'm in this frequency. I'm actually now bringing in an energetic imprint into my body. I'm suppressing and holding this dense energy now in my body, all based on anger. I will remember this. My ego will even help me to remember this because it will remind me of this experience. So now if I jump 2 weeks into the future, and I'm actually super happy and a kind person, and I'm actually in a really good space, and all of a sudden anger comes to me, as in I experience it from another person. What happens is the energetic imprint that I created 2 weeks prior, in that moment when you understand the ego's keeping us safe, the ego's saying, it's got its alarm bells, the thoughts and behaviors and emotions. In 2 weeks' time, I'm experiencing anger. Now, the anger from another person has presented itself. So what happens is we have to, our ego, out of its innate, out of its design structure to keep us safe, will show us all the experiences where we've experienced anger. So it's telling us, or at least guiding us, to be able to decide what's going to be safe for us. So 2 weeks into the future, I am now, and I'm confronted with an angry person. The frequency of them, you can feel it, but it also now, your ego self, out of its way of keeping you safe, is getting you to look at this anger and how are you going to respond? Are you going to react to it, or are you going to respond with love? Because that's your choice point. So you have this choice now that even though when you woke up today you were feeling love and joyous and beautiful and everything was amazing and everything was flowing, all of a sudden this energy has come to you. You can actually, based on what you will remember as an energetic, dense imprint in your body, the same frequency that you created 2 weeks prior. You have a choice whether you tap back into that and allow that to be your reality in that now moment or not. Or you can actually realize that, hey, because you'll be processing, that's the idea of the body, the ego. It's there to help you to process and understand what's happening so you can keep yourself safe. And so you are now processing, do I retaliate to this person and have the anger outburst? Or is that my truth? That's what you need to be asking yourself. Is this my truth? Am I this person that gets angry? Am I this person that retaliates? Is that my truth? Is that what I'm going to choose for me now? Or do you choose what your truth is I'm a loving, compassionate person. And despite this person being super angry at me, and it's toxic and I can get angry with this, or I can choose to be the truth of who I am, which is the love that you are. You can choose to be compassion in that moment and have compassion for that individual that for whatever reason we don't understand what their day has looked like. Maybe someone just passed away. So we don't know why they're angry. It could be just out of their way of reacting to grief. And so what diffuses that is you being able to step into your most loving self and have compassion for this individual. Yes, you can tap into this energy imprint that you are aware of and can feel and have been in, and you know what it's like, or you can actually stand in your truth, aligned to also whatever your core lessons are to learn. And so in that moment is your choice point. Doesn't mean that karma followed you to that moment, but it was definitely a lesson for you that when you were angry and now you're experiencing it, it's definitely an opportunity for you to choose what your truth is, for you to stand and be more aligned to your soul self, because your soul self is not anger. Your soul self is love. And that's how it works, which is so powerful. So then my question is, does karma follow us from previous lifetimes? Well, it could, based on energetic imprints or collective paradigms, which I'm about to share a little bit more on. So that gives you an idea of karma. I believe it's only ever happening in the now moment. And so many of us have believed and aligned more to a negative consequence with karma, but not also remembering that, karma actually includes positive behaviors. Okay, it's all about cause and effect. And so because we've believed as a collective that what goes around comes around, well, yes and no, but also does it follow us from previous lifetimes? And does it then lead us and take us? So does that mean that if I'm angry and abusive to someone now, does that mean that that's going to follow me into my lifetime, my next lifetime? So there's reasons for that I'm about to share why that's probably not possible. And so it's a collective paradigm as well, a belief that we're holding, all of us, that it's almost like a fear of punishment. That is the collective paradigm that many of us are holding. Fear of punishment, that some way for our behaviors in the future, we're going to get punished or pay the consequences for something. So that's kind of your collective paradigms that play out. And are they true? Well, based on what I just explained, I don't believe so. So I want to tap into how even more reasons that would back this up. So each time we have a new incarnation, this might help us understand a little bit more why karma doesn't follow us. So each incarnation, there is always complete new clean slate that we actually come into this lifetime from, or create from a clean slate. Meaning every lifetime, everything's different. We can come into a completely different body, as in body shape. Okay, this lifetime I've come in tiny, but I might come in and experience what it's like to be reverse. We come in as male or female. We come in and live in different countries. We can experience absolutely anything that we wish to experience, but generally the whole idea is so that we can evolve our higher dimensional selves, to grow and expand. So this is like Earth School, for us to learn specific things, your core conscious learnings. And so if we're coming in with a complete clean slate, then that would say each lifetime is completely separate. So if so another way to look at it as well is when we leave this world, we're literally completely cut from this world. So we don't bring with us the polarity. We don't bring with us collective paradigms when we leave this world. We don't bring with us when we die and leave this world. We don't bring with us duality. Because what actually happens is we actually return back to our soul self, our multi-dimensional selves. We return back to, my understanding, it's anywhere between 7 and 12 dimensional frequencies and fields of consciousness. So that's what we return to. We return to our soul self. So we don't bring polarity, duality, collective paradigms with us. Everything is completely closed book. It's a complete closed book. And your book is actually your Akashic record. So I want to get in a little bit now to Akashic records and how this kind of all ties together. So your Akashic record is the book that you wrote in your lifetime. So everything that we are doing in this lifetime, in the now moment, from day one to the day that we leave, we are writing our Akash record as we journey through this life. And because we're writing our book, our Akashic record book, as we journey this lifetime, this book is complete when we are done. When we return, what actually happens is our Akash record is a book and it goes up into the shelf like the 1,000 other books that we have written for every time that we've been here. And so that begs the question, if every lifetime is just one book on its own with its own experiences with different people, and everything is new and we're writing it as we go, these books, when we return, even though there's been many lifetimes where we've written many books, so where does all this information go? Well, it's kind of the best way, my understanding, best way to describe it is like a library. We have a library filled with these books from all of our lifetimes. And so each of them are separate. So I could probably go back when I do my life review and when I'm considering coming back to Earth again, I might actually pull one of my books out with my guides and I might actually have a look and see if there's something that I want to work through and improve upon. So does that mean that that's karma that's coming with us? I don't believe so, because we're writing a complete new slate. Yes, we might pull that book down from thousands of years ago to improve something, but I don't believe that means that we're bringing karma with us. It means we're choosing that we wish to improve ourselves, yet we might actually have an energetic imprint, as in a remembrance, from those experiences, especially if we had a lot of trauma in those lifetimes, which for many thousands of years there has been lots of trauma experienced by many souls. And so when we go and exit this world, this life review that we go through is probably an important process for us deciding how the next lifetime is going to look, because we might be looking at ways to improve a lifetime where maybe we're an abuser and now we want to come back and we want to be the person on the other side of being an abuser, to be a victim and learn the lessons, whatever we need to master through those experiences. There's something specific, these core lessons. And so your life review is just literally looking back at your Akash record that you wrote, the book that you wrote for this lifetime. And you might look at many of your different books to see what it is that you need to learn to, for whatever reason, for you to evolve even higher as a conscious being or a multi-dimensional conscious being. So when we are coming back, we're coming back with a clean slate. And so this is why I'm not sure whether we are really bringing karma with us, yet we are choosing life experiences to always improve ourselves. And yes, there will be energetic imprints that we are probably will remember. Energetic imprints generally are lodged through really significant traumatic events. That tends to lodge within us and becomes a remembrance in a sense. So our souls will have many of these energetic imprints. And that's what's interesting about these is these energetic imprints, even though we can remember sort of like an energy from something that was traumatic, we might remember how we fear being, for example, we might fear being around fire, for example, because we may have been burnt to the stake, like that's been expressed for many of us have experienced. We may, torture of some sort. There might be something specific that we actually energetically can remember. But how that plays out is not, I don't believe it's a karma, because what I believe what's playing out is that energetic imprint is a remembrance. And so if we go back to frequency and how we attract whatever we're vibrating at, and if you go back to cause and effect, in this world, if there's a collective maybe paradigm playing out, like fear of punishment is probably a good example. Fear of punishment, we might have energetic imprints that when there is this frequency of fear of punishment playing out collectively, that energetic imprint can remember that energy. And when you remember that energy, we're going back again to each moment is a choice point. It is where our ego steps in and is guiding us to look at this thought, look at this emotion, feel into this behavior, and identify if this is true for us. Is fear of punishment my truth? Why should I fear being punished? As in, like COVID's a great example. Fear of punishment if we didn't wear our mask or get the, you know what I mean? So this fear being collective, everyone followed suit, thinking, oh, I better follow suit. I better, because there was probably an energetic remembrance. So that frequency then that you feel uncomfortable, you actually can remember this fear, this whatever this is. And if you then choose in that moment that that's your truth, then you're going to vibrate at that. And then that is just going to create your experiences. Does that mean that that was a karma? I don't believe so. So, because this is where energy is so important to understand, and frequencies, that whatever we're vibrating at any given moment, everything is a choice point to come back to our soul self, to identify our truth. It will be to identify, maybe this experience has been activated because it's a life lesson. So, okay, if you have a life lesson to learn, as I feel is mine, about respect, truth, and trust, then this experience that is being presented to me to help me identify my truth around respect, truth, or trust, this is me, my ego, and my soul guiding me, my higher self, giving me an opportunity to look at this experience. It's an opportunity. If I'm aware of what my core conscious learnings are, it's then you decide what your truth is. You decide, what is this experience teaching me? Now, what we have done is we've created, out of victimhood, another collective paradigm. We've created a belief out of victimhood. So we believe that I am this lack. We believe that we're the density of this experience. We haven't been able, because we're living in a 3D world, been able to shift above and out of the 3D consciousness to see the truth of who we are. It's kind of how it's all playing out, which I find so fascinating. And so it can be as simple as every given moment, because all of our trauma has only ever been created in this lifetime through our external experiences and how we have reacted or responded to the experiences. And your trauma is going to be connected to your core conscious learnings. That's where you're receiving most of your trauma. For example, my core conscious learnings being centered around respect, truth, and trust, which was aligned or connected to the father wounding. My father was my main teacher. It's taken me a long time to realize what it was that I needed to learn through his behaviors, so that I could master respect, truth, and trust. But in a victim mentality and a 3D consciousness, I was seeing it that I am this disempowered person. So can you see how this kind of works? It's so fascinating. And when you understand this, it's a game changer. So karma is not following us. And all of our trauma is in this lifetime, what we've created through our external experiences. And we've lived in our reality with these external experiences based on a 3D consciousness. So there's this veil. We haven't understood that we're a higher dimensional conscious being. We haven't actually been connected to our higher self. And that is a goal for this lifetime, is to return home to our soul self. Our goal as well in this lifetime is to know that we are soul in this physical body, experiencing all these thoughts, beliefs, and emotions, trying to master our core conscious learnings, our life lessons, always coming back to the truth of who we are. Am I unworthy of respect? Am I able to stand in my truth, to trust my inner knowing? Am I aware that I am this magnificent being and I'm not the lesser being that through the experiences with my father allowed me to believe. And so when we're tied to many old paradigms, such as fear of punishment and victimhood, as probably a couple of the main, we are vibrating in a frequency that's not even our truth. Are you the victim? Or are you a magnificent being? The world around us might be saying that we're all lesser beings or unworthy or what have you. Our experiences might be saying that we're unworthy. But what's your truth? And this is where we need to stand in our power and know what our truth was or is. We need to trust. Well, this is my journey. Respect, truth, trust. I need to respect myself when I'm feeling disempowered by others and stand in my truth and trust myself that I know who I am. So that's my learning. What's your core conscious learnings? Is it self-love? What are all your experiences showing to you? What is the common theme that keeps playing out? When you identify that core conscious learning, you understand then how all of this is working. You understand even so much about this soul journey. And so karmic inheritance as such, again, I don't believe we have karmic inheritance to pay back as a consequence, because every lifetime is a clean slate. And so karmic inheritance has to be more so that it was a request in your soul contract that you agreed to, that you wanted to work through maybe some ancestral healing. And I believe there's one main reason for that, and that is because of the planetary shift that we're in at the moment. Many of us souls, to help the rising of Earth and humanity into a higher consciousness way of living and being, that we need to remove these collective paradigms. We need to remove all these old beliefs that said this is the way life is. Life is lack of money. Life is not equal sharing. Life is not unity consciousness. Life is about war. That's the only way we resolve issues. What collective paradigm are we going to continue to believe as true? Because if every single person in the world is vibrating at a low frequency, then that's going to be our reality. It has always been that way. And this is the human evolution. Many of us have come here to help course correct this, to help raise humanity in the evolution of their consciousness, because many of us have been asleep. I too was. I got catapulted awake when my son passed 7 years ago. That just catapulted me into who I am today, to be here, to be teaching others how to rise through adversity and see the truth of who they are, to see that in darkness there is always light. That's what I'm here to teach. I'm here to highlight that we are higher conscious beings, that we have the power individually to be our most truthful selves and no longer believe that we are this lack, that all of these experiences have been teaching us. So we're here. We're really here only in the now. My belief is to clear and heal everything that is happening in the now, to clear the limiting beliefs when they show up in each moment, and to heal from any trauma experiences that we've gone through in this lifetime. We're always letting go of, in every moment, we're always letting go of the untruth in any thought, emotion, behavior, and we're always to choose the truth of those thoughts, emotions, and behaviors. The power is within us in every moment to step into our power. And the more that every single one of us do this individually, then the more, with more people doing it, the more people on the planet that are raising their consciousness, then eventually the world around us will be in this reality. So there is an absolute planetary shift at the moment. This is what's happening. And so for you to understand how to move out of this limitation, my 2 teachings in my previous video and this one is going to help you. It's going to help you so much. So remember, each contract, each Akash record when you come in is completely new. And all you have to do is clear and heal the now. Clear and heal and evolve. So my core conscious learnings have been around, centered around respect, truth, and trust. And all of my experiences created my traumas in this lifetime, because I wasn't able to see that I was more than what people were telling me to believe that I was. There's so many of us have fallen into that collective paradigm of victimhood, I guess. Remember, we are writing our Akash record as we live day by day, and when we leave this earth, this book will close and go up onto the shelf. Everything that you have done in this lifetime, whether good or bad, is not right or wrong, because the shadow parts have to take place through people so that the next person can actually learn and grow from. We're always learning and growing. Doesn't matter whether we are in our shadow self or our light self, and we have been all. So we might look at an abuser and think that they are shameful, but that is not true, because we have been that person in a previous life where we have been the abuser, and it's important to understand that. We have been in those shoes. We've been everything. So there's no right or wrong, because with shadow and light, there's always a learning. There's always growth and expansion. And when you know all of this journey is not personal, when you understand all of this, none of it's personal. It's only has been created or designed so that we could evolve even through the shadows of other people. Doesn't mean that it hasn't been a joyful experience. Oh my God, I've had a really challenging life. I've been through so much, but yet I haven't been anywhere through as much as what I have seen other people. There's one lady that I just admire. I'd love to share her name, but I'll keep that personal. My God, she is an amazing soul for what she has fought through from the day she was born to age 35. It's a wonder that she's even managed to stay alive, and yet she can see she can appreciate what those journeys are, and so that's the beauty, is when you can step into that moment of realizing that none of it was personal. And when you can have eyes of compassion and forgiveness and gratitude for all of those experiences, you are evolving. You get it. And so energetic imprints, they do follow us because they're created from significant traumatic events. And so they can be experienced collectively and individually and through our ancestors. But with our ancestors, for example, these energetic connections, this does link us to our past. But if there's something that we feel that we need to work through, as in an ancestral healing, I believe it's because we've actually agreed to work through it as a life lesson. I believe that's true for me. So I had quite a strong, most of my learnings was through my father woundings, but there was I had noticed more of recent, there was actually a mother line. I was being encouraged to really explore my ancestral connections, and then that was showing to me where some of the stuff that I didn't even really become that really aware of, it was always present, but then I understood that it was actually something that I feel I had written into my contract as something to clear for this lifetime, based on being able to clear ancestral healing as a collective that would support the planet shift. So it was more to clear collective energies and frequencies that didn't no longer need to be playing out, so that it would help clear the air, so to speak, for all of humanity, all of the world around us. So clearing away through my mother line, there was just a few little things, because the connection point with my mother line was where all the women had been disempowered. Sexual abuse played out in my lifetime. It played out in my mother's lifetime. I know it played out in my grandmother's lifetime and probably beyond. And whilst we can think that we have to do all these clearings and healings, I feel when you know what your core conscious learnings are, you'll know whether that's true or not. You might just have an energetic imprint and can be connecting to a frequency that's familiar. Doesn't necessarily mean that there's an ancestral healing that needs to be done. Could be just something very specific in the now. But also it could be that you put and asked for something specific for your life lessons, more on a collective level than an individual, because I feel it's very small for me, a small part. And so they're the connection points to our ancestry. It's either going to be through energetic imprint that we're tapping into, through the frequency that we're vibrating at in the now moment. You've got to understand what your truth is or not. Karma is only ever happening in the now moment based on your frequency. I do not believe we carry it into the future, and I do not believe we bring it from the past. But the only way that that could happen, that we feel that it's connected to a past, is by looking at our Akash record book and maybe deciding that this is a life lesson. So I hope that makes sense. So I feel that's my connection to my ancestry line. And yes, we can call in our ancestors and ask them to help and guide us, because energetically they are there with us. And so that will be another connection point. So that's something that I've just personally wanted to do. I wanted to honor my ancestors. And so my connection with them is actually in the now. I've called them in, just like my son who's crossed over. I know he's now. I know he's with me. As an example, I had a dream a couple of nights ago, and he actually he was a great little photographer, and he photographed quite a lot the meerkat. So he would often go to the zoo. He'd do photography wherever, but he did love animals anyway. And the meerkat is something that was really intriguing to him, and I've got some really great photos of some meerkats. But in my dream, I actually dreamt and saw a meerkat. And I actually had woken thinking, oh my God, it was exciting because I knew that was Brett telling me that he was with me. So energetically, they are still connected with us. And so I have been increasing that connection with my ancestors because there's never been something that felt important to me up until now, because they have so much strength and courage through all of their experiences that they've carried and moved through, that they can actually help me on my journey. And so that's the other connection point to our ancestors, if we invite them in, because they energetically can come in and we can feel them. You can literally close your eyes and feel their energy. You can be just moving through your day and then all of a sudden you just have this thought of them. Or for me, I can move through my home and then I just get this feeling in my body and it's just like I'm tapping into Brett's energy, which is really cool. So that's how we connect as well to our ancestors. So all of this, bringing this all together, if we go back to focusing on our life now, we are only here to clear and heal the now, the traumas now from the external experiences that we have created in the now, so that we can come home to our soul self and embody our soul self. That's the goal, to get as close as we can to our soul self and embody our soul in this lifetime. And then your life actually will reflect. The more we're embodying our soul self and our truth, well, then we're vibrating so much higher. And so our experiences are going to be completely different. And the higher we get in our consciousness and levels of frequency, density and polarity cannot exist in those domains. They just can't exist. Yet, being multi-dimensional selves, we can still tap into these 3D frequencies and realities because we're going to constantly move in and out of all of them. That's how we become multi-dimensional. We move in and out until such time as we can be anchored into higher dimensional fields. At the moment, we're all pretty much anchored in this 3D consciousness. So that's the goal, is to try to raise our consciousness and anchor ourselves into higher dimensional fields of frequency so that we can be more vibrating in that and living from that state of being. So from all this information, there is karma, but it's only in the now moment, in this lifetime, through cause and effect, and based on what frequency we're at, as to whether the karma will, if it's a negative experience, whether it will come back to us in some way, shape, or form, depending on your frequency and what you choose as your truth in every single moment. So you're only meant to clear what's in the here and the now. And you do this by living in the now. You deal with each moment as it arises by becoming the observer, to witness and become aware of your thoughts, emotions, behaviors, and paradigms, and discover what is true for you. You must feel into all of these emotions, thoughts, beliefs, and behaviors without attachment or judgment. That's crucial. You need to uncover your truths, know who you are, stand in your truth, and continually raise your frequency, your consciousness as you embody soul. And as always, finding forgiveness and compassion and gratitude for all of your experiences and for the people involved with those experiences. Because like you, they too are just on this human journey, experiencing shadow, experiencing light within themselves and externally through all the people, places, and things. It is all about embodying your soul, standing in your truth, owning who you are, embodying I am soul presence. We all are. And if we remember that, and if we all individually work on ourselves, eventually every single person in the world that's doing it means our world changes for the better. Namaste. Thank you for listening.